Right, welcome to another one of my videos. This time we're going to talk about effects. One of the most common effects, actually. We're going to talk about compression. We're going to talk about what it is, what it does, what all the controls for, and why we actually need it, as well as what happens if we overuse it. Because a lot of people tend to overuse it or not know how to use it properly. So we're going to go over a few examples of the basic functionality of it, why we need it, and stuff like that. So to get started, I'm going to create a new audio track. It's going to be mono, it's going to be input 1. And this is basically going to be my microphone setup. So to get right started, I'm going to record enable. So my vocals coming through that again. I'm going to click record. And I'm going to talk and it's going to record in some of my vocals. This is raw, so there's no compression on this, so it's nice and smooth and it's nice and natural. Right, now like any audio recording, we're going to double click it. We're going to go function, go to normalize, and make sure that all the peaks are aligned at 0. So we've got a very, very nice waveform now. So if we turn off record enable and we play that back, and I'm going to talk and it's going to record in some of my vocals. So that's my vocals recording. Now if I zoom in and we look at the waveform, what we've got is, as you can see, there are bits where it's quiet and there's bits where it's loud. Now what compression does is it reduces the difference between loud and quiet. So it compresses the waveform. So say for example we've got a live singer singing live. She's singing the verse at one volume level, but then she gets really intense in the chorus and the chorus gets a lot louder. To stop you having to keep on moving the gain control, the trim and the faders to keep everything at her level of volume, what you can do is if you compress her vocals, it keeps everything relatively near the same volume level and consistent throughout. But you see, we can record anything. I mean, electric bass is something that needs a lot of compression because of the way the pickups work. If you play electric bass and you've run it through a computer, through a sound card, through DI or through a bass, you notice that you can play it really, really quietly, and then you can play it really, really loud. Now, when you're recording, you don't want that. You want quite a consistent volume level. So to compress his vocals that I've just recorded, if I go on dynamics and add a compressor, this is Logic's basic compressor, and it is pretty good actually. So we'll quickly go over what all the controls do. This compressor's got a limiter, and what a limiter does is if the volume gets over the threshold, what it will do is it will reduce the gain. It will automatically cut it off. That's good to stop distortion and peaking really. But a lot of people tend to believe that limiting's really, really bad. But we'll get off of that for the moment. We'll cover that in another video. The main controls for a compressor is we've got the ratio, which is this. As you can see in that picture, the higher the ratio, the more flatter it gets at the top. So basically, yeah, the more flatter it gets at the top. So when we play it back, and I'm going, as you can see, talk and it's going to record in some of my vocals. When we've got the ratio set to this is 1 to 1. So what comes in is the volume that comes out. To talk, whereas if we change it to 30 to 1, my vocals. This is raw. So there's no compression on this. There's 30 times so it's nice and smooth and it's nice and natural. And I'm going less to talk and it's the dynamic range than what there was in the original when you do it like that. never really want to compress that harshly. Another thing is the compressor threshold. This is the point where the compressor starts actually compressing. And it's measured in decibels. So, and I'm going
if we play back
to talk, and it's going to record in some of my vocals.
Move this down.
This is raw.
As you can see,
it's going to compress
no
anything that's at minus, anything any
nice
louder than minus 40
And
decibels.
I'm going to talk, and it's going to record.
If we combine it with that,
this is raw.
as you can hear, it's
So
pumping. There's like
there's
no
no
difference
compression on this.
between loud and
So
quiet,
it's nice and smooth.
and that's really unnatural, and you really don't want that. Now, the other controls are attack and release. What the attack does is the attack dictates how much time needs to elapse before the compressor will start compressing when the signal gets over the threshold. So 10 milliseconds. We change it. I'm going to talk, and it's going to record in some of my vocals. This is raw. As you can see, that the gain reductions, there's no compression on this. A lot of time to come in at 200 milliseconds compared to when it's at 0 milliseconds. When you're mixing stuff like drums, a kick and a snare, for example, or a shorter attack, then it will end up sounding a lot more punchier because the compression will hit in exactly when the transient comes in. So you get a really sharp, snappy attack, and if you combine that with a quick release as well, you get a really sharp, solid attack sound. Longer release mean that the compression will last longer before it fades out, so it will fade out longer. The knee is basically how soft that point is. So a sharp knee means that it's more of a sharp angle from being not compressed to compressed. A soft knee means it's got like a little curve to like bounce over before it compresses. So it sort of eases the compression in, so it sounds a bit less unnatural. Another thing is auto gain. Now, I don't really use this. Some people do. If you put auto gain set to 0 dB, what it will automatically do is once you change the compression level, it will automatically adjust the makeup gain. Now, the makeup gain is one of the side effects of compression. Is once you compress, you have to boost the volume level back up, because when you reduce the loud to quiet, it ends up making the whole track more quiet. So a makeup gain basically discompensates that and puts the volume level of the track back up. Auto gain at 0 dB will automatically put the peak back at 0 dB again. It may be what you want, or it may not be. We'll get into things in another video, like sidechaining. This is the point at which the limiter takes effect. As you can see in the picture, if you set it to minus 10 dB, anything above minus 10 dB is completely cut off. So yeah, I mean, that's basically it for a compressor. You've got circuit types, and these are meant to emulate proper circuitry in compressors. But yeah, basically that's all you really need to know for the moment until we go on to some more complicated things on a compressor. If you happen to overuse the compressor, you know that you've overused it, because everything sounds really, really pumpy and unnatural and really flat. You want stuff that still sound real, especially drums. You definitely don't want to overcompress drums. Vocals, you don't really want to overcompress. You might find that some more classical trained singers and operatic singers have a lot greater dynamic range. So you want to be a bit careful. Each singer's different when they're singing. You've got to be careful not to overdo the compression on that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for now. Going to be putting some more videos on soon about other effects and some more complicated things to do inside the compressor and other dynamic processing.